Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Lisa's Love and Light. Thank you all for being here today. Well. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday. So, we have 2 days before we welcome in 2024. How you guys feeling about that? I think I'm looking forward to it, that this year is just about over. It's just been some ups and downs, and I'm looking forward to 2024. Hopefully, it's going to be a lot better than 2023. That's all I can say about it at the moment. And I hope you guys are looking forward to it as well. Make some new goals, try to stick to them, and look forward to everything positive and embrace that. Thank you all for being here today. The topic of discussion today will be let your family and friends know that you are healing, especially those of you who have gone through a lot of grief, a lot of loss, and pain and feeling about that, because it's important to have time to yourself as you go through that, because sometimes the body needs to heal physical, your mental and your physical when you go through so much loss. One of the things that, while I'm on break, because it's almost over, it's almost time to go back to work, I could watch this movie over and over again. How many of you guys out there have a movie that you love so much that you can watch over and over again? Mine is Back to the Future with Michael J. Fox, and that was on. And I loved that movie. When it first came out in, I think, 1985, I went to the movies to see it. Really fell in love with the movie, so upbeat. And I watched that, and, just trying to downtime, which is important to me, to have some downtime and to just, you know, enjoy enjoy the time. So that's what I did last night because that was on, and I actually sat and watched that for a while. And then, don't mind me, guys. I always combing out my hair because my beautician cut it, but she trimmed it or whatever, but it doesn't look the way I want it to. But anyway, um, what I was about to say is do things that make you feel good, you know, like throughout the pain and the grief and everything that you go through, know that there's something good from it. And what I mean by good is that take the time to reflect and be to yourself and just do things that bring peace to you. Like after all this loss that took place, and I always talk about it in that way because I'm never going to hear the voices of the people that I lost. You know, um, my mother, never going to hear her voice, never going to hear her laughter, never going to be able to speak to her. And sometimes, especially like now during a holiday, it feels like, I have those up and down moods, but not as bad as I used to. Like I said, I'm still in a healing process, and some days are good and some days are not. But I talk about that because it's a huge loss. And when we go through any type of loss, especially one that affects us so much, we really need time out to ourselves so that we can reflect, heal, and take care of our physical and mental health. Um, One of the things that I started doing is feeding some stray cats. And no, I'm not a cat lady, but we have two stray cats that I don't know where they came from, a black cat and a calico. And they just came out of nowhere. And I don't know what it is um, about me, but they come up to me, but not close enough for me to pet them. maybe because I talked to them, which may sound weird to some of you, but it's funny. So I started feeding them, and they showed up, again today, and I'm like, oh wow, okay. So I have to, make sure they eat. It's better to make sure they eat so they don't go through the garbage, So I try to feed them as much as I can. They come once a day, when she comes by, or he, I think it's a she. And she comes by, she sits there, and sometimes she sits in my windowsill, letting me know she's out there and she wants to eat. So, I do that. And I get a little bit of joy out of doing that because I know that they're not starving, they're eating. And, you know, and it takes my mind off of, like the grief and things like that. So take time out for you to do things that's going to help you to continue to heal. Let your family and friends know that you may not spend as much time with them at this particular time, if that's the case, because you're healing. And it's important for you to do that. Take a walk in the rain, listen to some music. I like to listen to music and dance sometimes, that burns up a lot of energy and it puts me in a high vibrational mood. So I like doing that. Like before I came on here, I was listening to some music. I like music from the 70s, 80s, anything that I listen to that. Um, Allow yourself also time to feel the pain. Allow yourself to cry. Even if you don't cry, publicly, some people don't, but that's cry, when you're by yourself. Let yourself feel that pain because crying is an outlet as well to the pain, and crying helps you to release, and it makes you feel better afterward. We can never bring our loved ones back. However, we can keep their memory alive through storytelling, continuously talking about them and what they brought to you, what they brought to your life, how they changed your life for the better, and that's important. Let your, family and friends know that you just need a little bit of time to yourself so that you can get through all of this grief and pain, etc. And if you have a good friend, I have some notes here. If you have a good friend that you can talk to that friend. I know it's important. I know for me, it was important for me to have somebody there during the time that I was going through this, but I didn't. But for me now, I do have someone to talk to. I've recently said that I reconnected with a friend from the time I was 14 years old. We were like really, really best friends, really close, and we spent a lot of time together. That's important now because I talk to her now about it's like catching up from many years ago, because she knows my whole family, and we talk about grief and how it felt to lose my mother because she didn't know my mother had passed away. We talk about what's going on in her life. And if you just have somebody there to just listen, because none of us can bring back um, a passed over loved one, but just having someone to listen to you and how you feel and what you're going through really helps a lot. And that's why I talk about therapy too, having a therapist, whatever area you live in, please connect to a therapist, and find one that you connect with. And then, start the healing process. It's going to be slow and it's going to be difficult. It's not easy, but it's worth it because as you start to feel better, you start to feel at peace, because you know that your passed over loved ones would never, ever want you to stay in a place of grief and depression. My therapist tell me that all the time. When I feel like I am, you know, getting into that depression, he says to me, would your mother, I'm pretty sure your mother doesn't want you, and your friends who passed over would never want you to stay in a place of pain and grief. They would want you to embrace your life to the fullest. And I try to remember that, because it's, even though they're not here, I try to remember that to embrace life is important. And as you take the time out to, you know, heal yourself, get to know yourself. And as you take that time out, because I took a whole lot of time out, and especially during the shutdown, what else could we do, right? But go to the store in the beginning and come back to the house. And we were stuck like that for a long time. So just reflecting. But my kind of reflecting in the beginning it was very difficult, you know. And I'm going to share something here, especially with the newcomers. What I did in the beginning, I was just really angry with God because it was a whole lot of losses and was people who I was close to and meant everything to me. And losing them and then losing my dog, it was like, oh my God. And I was just angry with God. And yes, I had plenty of conversations with God every day. They were not good ones. I'm not going to share it. But, after I went through 6 months of doing this, one day I just made peace with God in a situation. And then I learned, how to transmute burdens and trials and tribulations, transmute that energy by lifting those burdens up and giving them to God and taking them off of me. And believe me, it works. I had, it took me time to learn how to do that, but I learned how to do that. So that's why I talk about getting rid of toxicity out of my life, because as I was healing, as I'm still healing, you know, because toxic situations will stifle your healing process. It would slow it down, and it create more grief, more depression, etc. So I had to learn after cutting off and deleting, blocking and deleting these situations out of my life, and people were still trying to come back in my energy, with the drama, with the craziness. And I just learned how not just to pray, but meditate and to transmute all of that energy and burdens and etc. and toxicity, and just lift it up and give it to God. And as I did that, I continued to stay focused on my healing, because without that, I can't do anything else, because your mental and physical health is being affected by all areas, whether it's trauma, grief due to loss, toxicity, abuse of any sort can create trauma within you. And I had to learn how to, lift those burdens, because these burdens I was carrying on my back. And it's like climbing up, like I said before in a prior video, climbing a mountain with a ton of bricks on your back. And it's breaking down your back because it's too heavy. The load is too heavy. And you're not even reaching your destination because the ton of bricks is slowing you down. And, once you release them from off your back, then you can walk more quickly up that hill. And I'm using that metaphor because for me, you know, carrying all these burdens and toxicities and people not wanting to be released when you release them from your life. They don't want to go because they want to continue the toxicity and etc. And I had to learn how to deal with that and deal with it in a way where I don't have to act out of character. I don't have to be crazy, because if I do that, I am engaging in a toxicity and I'm lowering my vibration down to the toxic situations. And I wasn't doing that because keep me stuck and stagnated. So I learned how to transmute that by giving all those burdens to God. So now when people are coming at me or saying things, etc., they're actually doing that with God, because now those burdens has been transferred to Him. And we know how that's going to turn out. So it helps me to keep on its path and to stay focused on the healing process. And it's so important to do that, because none of this is easy. And when I had to do this by myself, meaning I didn't have friends, family, or anyone around me, it was difficult. And also getting rid of family members, because, like I said before, organized religion that they're part of, that I'm no longer a part of, keeps us separate. And this is one of the reasons why I'm glad I have my friend back in my life, because that was a factor as well. And now we talk, and I share things with her. Her strength also, because when we're growing up, we've been talking about situations, relationships, and stuff. And when I would when a relation let's put it this way, when a relationship would end, back then, um, I would be crying my eyes out. I think there's some times that I would just come to her house crying. Oh my God, and it would just be like dramatic. And with her, I admired the fact that when her relationship ended, she was hurt and everything, but she didn't fall apart, And I told her the other night, I admire that, because some of these relationships she had was long term. And when it ended, and when you have kids, especially, she has um, 4 kids, she's able to just keep moving, just keep going. And for me, I would be like stuck in that pain. And for the first time in my life, I'm learning how not to do that. It just happens after the healing process happened, because people who I really was stuck on and didn't, I don't feel that way anymore. I love spending time to myself, and just um enjoying me time. I like to, go out occasionally and etc. and so forth, but the me time, and that's how I know the self love has, that I have self love, because that's important. When you start to have self love, the peace comes, the tranquility. You don't want the drama, the gossip, and all that other craziness that goes on. I no longer want that around me. And so I just enjoy things that, life. And, we talk about things and what we've gone through, and so I'm so happy to have her back in my life. Her kids were, when we first became friends, I remember one of her sons, when he was born, she was pregnant with him, I think, at the time. And he was 6 months old when I first started taking care of him. He watches these videos too. So anyway, that I had a picture of him when I was taking care of him. I don't know what happened to that picture. I have to find it. But he now has a family of his own and is married and has children of his own. And it's like, wow, I feel so up there in age. Anyway, that's how long I've known her. And it's good to talk to her. And then we're making plans to meet up soon in the near future. And it's good to have someone to talk to, because I spend a lot of time, you know, uh, how do I say? I spend a lot of time to myself, because I've cut out a lot of people out of my life because of toxicity and not understanding my grief and etc. And and um, I'm sorry, guys, because I'm thinking and talking at the same time. This is not from an outline. What I want to say is that I also noticed that when one door closes, God will always open up another door. Now, divine timing is everything, because when one door is shut, you don't know when that second door is going to open, but God will always open up another door. And I was, happy to reconnect, because I was talking and praying and asking God, are there any trustworthy people out there today? Because I've gone through so much toxicity that I started to say to myself, I wonder if there's real people out there, people who are authentic, honest, etc. And sometimes, God will allow those doors to close and open up the other doors, and it's a good thing. So everyone, the key factor here with healing and grief and pain, etc., is to persevere through it. Don't give up on your physical and mental health. You're going to have those good days where you feel good and you want to get a lot accomplished, and then you're going to have days where you don't even want to get out of bed. You just feel the pain and the grief. Just allow yourself to feel it and know that you're human, and that you will slowly get through the process. You never get over the pain of the loss, but you can get through it one day at a time, one step at a time. And, keep doing things that make you feel good. Like, if you like videos, I watch a lot of videos to uplift my spirit so I don't stay in depression. Just do things that, bring you peace, and try to keep yourself away from toxicity as much as possible. That's the message today. And one last thing, you know, if you need time to be alone, that's okay. Never feel guilty for that. Just let your friends and family know that you need some time alone so that you can heal and you can get through this grief and pain and trauma of whatever the situation is. It could be the loss of a loved one, it could be some traumatic experience that you need to get through. Just let them know that, and then just heal. Take one day at a time. And please come back to this channel, all newcomers. Please Google a therapist in your area. I'm not a therapist at all. I'm not a social worker. I don't have a degree in that area. I'm just someone who went through a lot of loss, a lot of pain, a lot of lonely nights, a lot of crying, etc., a lot of on my knees. And I had to learn ways to heal these things instead of being stuck in them. I wanted to be at peace and not in pieces. And that's so important on this journey called life and the process of healing. Thank you for being here, everyone. I will see you probably Tuesday, because Monday's a holiday. I might be here Monday. I'm not sure yet. But if I am, please hit that subscribe button so you'll get a notification as to when I'm on. And share the video and it's important, so other people can hear the message. Thank you for being here today, and everyone have a great weekend. Thank you for listening to Lisa's Love and Light.